the giant David killed was not the last. That's right. Most people believe that Goliath's death marked the end of the giant era in Israel. But what if I told you that this story, this incredible saga, goes far deeper than what we've been taught? You see, the truth is, there's a part of the Bible buried between ancient lines where the story takes an unexpected twist. A twist so monumental, so chilling that most Bible scholars won't even touch it. Some stories are meant to be forgotten. But today we are going to uncover one that was hidden on purpose. So, make sure to subscribe to Godwin Scrolls because this is where the forbidden knowledge begins. You're not supposed to know this. Not from a sermon. Not from a classroom. And certainly not from most modern interpretations of Scripture. You're about to hear about a moment when David, yes, the David we all know, the giant slayer, came inches from death. Not by an army but by the bloodline of Goliath himself. Goliath's brother, yes, his brother, was a towering warrior nearly 3 meters tall with weapons so heavy, even the most seasoned soldiers would have struggled to lift them. This wasn't just any battle. This was a dark echo from a time far older than David's reign. A time when the Nephilim, the giants, still walked the earth in ways we can barely understand. So let's go deeper. You're not just hearing an ancient story. You're about to uncover the reality of a bloodline that didn't just want to avenge their fallen brother. No. They wanted something much darker, to extinguish the very light of Israel. If this story resonates with you, don't just watch. Subscribe to Godwin Scrolls and step into the forgotten history with us. Some ancient texts whisper of the Raphaim, beings born of a bloodline far older than anything we're taught to believe. They were stronger than men, more intelligent, and wielded weapons far beyond the technology of their time. Their hatred? Well, it ran deeper than blood. The bloodline of Goliath wasn't just a group of giants. It was a living, breathing force that shaped the very course of history. The Bible hints at something truly unsettling here. They didn't just want David dead. They wanted Israel to fall. They wanted to bring back the age of the giants. And they would stop at nothing. Now, let's take a moment to talk about something crucial. If you're absorbing this story, you're walking on the edge of forgotten truths. So, make sure to subscribe to Godwin Scrolls. You're about to witness the story of vengeance that was meant to remain buried in the dust. The ancient bloodline of Goliath wasn't a myth. It wasn't just some random warrior on a hill. No, Goliath's family was part of a much larger, much darker legacy. A family whose warriors were not just skilled in combat but were part of an age-old secret, stretching back to the Nephilim. They were much more than simply giants. They were descendants of something much more terrible. When Goliath fell on that battlefield, Israel thought they had won. The songs of victory rang through the streets. The fires were lit, and mothers whispered to their children, "The nightmare is over." But for the clans tied to the old bloodline, the death of Goliath wasn't the end, it was just the beginning. Let's pause right here. Israel believed that terror had been vanquished with a single stone. But what they didn't know was that Goliath's death ignited a fire that would burn again, stronger than ever. And the giant's brother, he wasn't just a soldier. He was the vengeance of an entire bloodline, a force ready to strike back. And that's when the ancient bloodline rose again. The giant slayer, David, was now on the verge of facing his greatest challenge. As the giants of old began to regroup, David, once young and full of fire, was now weary from years of battle. The shadows of his past were closing in, and for the first time, it seemed like he might fall. But what if I told you this wasn't just another battle? What if I told you that the giants weren't the only ones waiting to strike back? David's strength was no longer what it once was. And in that moment, the giant's descendant, Ishbi-Benob, was there, towering over him. His spearhead weighed more than any ordinary weapon, a symbol of his vengeance. The weight of history was in his hand, and he wasn't just looking to kill David, He was going to kill the spirit of Israel itself. David, the slayer of giants, now the king of Israel, was faint. The giant was closing in. And for a moment, it seemed like the light of Israel would be extinguished once and for all. But hold on, this is where the story takes a turn you didn't expect. It wasn't David who finished the fight. No, it was Abishai, David's nephew, a warrior in his own right. In one swift move he saved David's life and Ishbi-Benob fell. That's right, the giant's vengeance wasn't carried out by the hands of the king, but by the next generation, the generation raised under David's faith. That's when the story shifts. The next giants rose, and the battles that followed were not random skirmishes. No, these were giants tied to the bloodline of Goliath, the remnants of a forgotten age, the final echoes of the Nephilim. The age of giants was almost over. But the warriors of Israel had learned under David. They had been shaped by him, and they would finish what he started. If you're feeling the weight of this story, the gravity of what it means for Israel, for faith, and for destiny, then make sure to subscribe to Godwin Scrolls. This journey is just beginning. These final battles were not just physical, they were theological. The giants weren't just enemies to be defeated. They were the last heirs of an ancient world. And with their fall, a door was closed. A chapter in history was sealed, and David's legacy took on an even deeper meaning. This wasn't just the end of a giant's reign. It was the closing of an age. And when those giants fell, the light of Israel grew brighter than ever before. So, if you've made it this far, reflect on the legacy left behind by these ancient battles. What do they mean for us today? Like, share, and subscribe to Godwin Scrolls, because this is just the beginning of an incredible journey into the mysteries buried beneath the sacred pages. And as always, stay with us for the next revelation. Because in every generation, there are those who choose to guard the light.